Well, Victoria's state of disaster has been extended for 11 days as the state's chief health officer flags extending curfew restrictions.
As we've said all along, everything's on the table, nothing's off the table. It'll be a consideration to continue, but we'll look at, what role it's played in fuller detail this week.
And a pregnant Ballarat woman has been charged for allegedly inciting a protest against COVID-19 restrictions. Joining me now, Victorian Liberal MP James Newbury. James, great to see you tonight. What did you make of that? What did you make of that particular comment tonight or this afternoon by Brett Sutton that nothing is off the table?
Well, we know nothing's off the table, just like we know that Daniel Andrews is watching all Victorians. We are now living in a surveillance state. The new powers for Daniel Andrews to give him 6 months of unfettered power passed the upper house last night after 3 independents sold out Victorians. And on day one, after the laws passing the upper house, an emboldened Premier clearly has been shown to be surveilling the state. A pregnant woman was arrested in Ballarat. High-profile identity Sam Newman was visited by the police. What it's showing is that if you criticise Daniel Andrews, you might be subject to a police visit or police arrest. It's un-Australian. In fact, it's scary.
James, you mentioned that pregnant woman in Ballarat and that arrest. Let's take a look at that.
Can you incite me?
What's this?
You're not obliged to say.
Yeah, she's pregnant, so...
Excuse me?
What's this about?
What on earth? Excuse me, what on earth? Can you record this? I'm in my pyjamas.
What's this?
Ultrasound in an hour.
Yeah, she's pregnant, so... What's this about?
You've got to have an ultrasound in an hour.
How can you arrest her?
That's... my 2 children.
Can't you just say to her, take the post down? Like, come on.
I'm happy to delete the post. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
What did you make of that, James?
Shocking. And it isn't about whether you agree with the criticism. And it's also not about the police who are simply implementing the laws that Daniel Andrews is enforcing. This is about Daniel Andrews running a police surveillance state, a surveillance state where he is watching you. And this afternoon, we have had a pregnant woman arrested for criticising him. I don't think that any Australian should not understand the importance of what's happened today. People in this country should not be arrested for their criticism of a Premier. And that is what has happened. It's very, very scary. And it wasn't just her. It was also Sam Newman, the high-profile identity, who was visited by a divvy van and police for also expressing concerns. As you may know, for a number of months, he's been expressing concerns about the restrictions and the way the Premier has been running the state.
He certainly has. And, of course, the Premier, Daniel Andrews, had to compromise. He was chasing a 12-month extension on the state of emergency, but he did a deal with some crossbenchers to ensure that he got 6 months. How's that going down with the general public in Victoria right now?
In 25 years, I have never seen a community response to an issue the way that I've seen the community respond to this. They knew that if he was given this power, he would misuse it. They didn't trust him. And what's happened on day one of him having the power pass through the upper house? Police visits. Tomorrow, the lower house will be debating this bill and Friday voting on it. Unfortunately, Labor has a majority in the lower house. So is this the last we're going to see of Daniel Andrews' surveillance state? Daniel Andrews watching you? I don't think so. But this isn't the country that I want to live in. This isn't the country that we want to live in. So I'd say directly to Daniel Andrews, stop watching us. We don't want to live in a surveillance state.
James, can I just say that the greatest symbolism that I've seen about the disarray and the way in which Victoria has plunged into crisis over this COVID affair is today's announcement that, you know, the game that Victorians love most, it's a religion down there, and that, of course, is the AFL, has been forced for the first time in 121 years to move the grand final to another state. It's coming to Brisbane. It'll be held at the Gabba, which is probably the 27th best ground in the country. And, of course, what it demonstrates, without any question at all, is that you've now being run by a government that has lost control. That's lost control of its greatest asset, and that is the AFL grand final.
And, you know, as a Victorian, it's just another thing to add to the list. As sad as that is, it's just another thing to add to the list. Another thing that we've lost, another freedom that we've lost, another right that we've lost. We are held hostages in our homes. So I mean, this decision today is terrible. But we're also curfewed into our homes. We're held hostage in our homes by these restrictions. So it's another thing that we've lost. It's another right that we've lost. It's something we shouldn't have lost. And if Daniel Andrews hadn't mucked up hotel quarantine, it wouldn't be happening.
James Newbury, thank you for joining us tonight. Really appreciate your time as usual.
Thanks so much.